Hello again, everybody. Today, we got some really bad news. Robin Williams, who's one of my heroes, has passed away. I wanted to say something about it because he's been a huge impact in my life. The reason I wanted to become an actor, the reason I became a creator, the reason I have a YouTube channel, the reason I do this stuff was directly inspired by him. And I've been I was really surprised about what happened, and I've been wanting to make this video for a long time, and I've been putting it off because there's been other videos that I wanted to get done first, and then this is a very, very heavy subject, and I don't like to put too many really heavy subjects all in the same time. Excuse me, all at the same time in the same place. I like to spread them out. But due to the circumstances surrounding Mr. Williams' death, I felt that this was, sorry, I've got something in my eye and it's killing me. I felt that this was an appropriate time to talk about this. Today, I'm going to talk about the significance of this knife. And I'm going to talk about the night that I decided to kill myself. Now, for those of you that haven't put two and two together, I didn't succeed. Full disclosure, I never actually made the attempt. You can see it's very hard to see because of the light, but I have no scars. I've never been hospitalized or anything like that. But I made the decision that I was going to kill myself, and would have followed through with it had my father not called me quite literally moments before I was about to kill myself. So I want to share this for a number of reasons. One, suicide and suicidal thoughts are still a taboo subject in our culture, and they need to not be. We need to be able to talk about this, because if the reason I'm alive today is because I was able to talk about it with someone. If we stop treating mental illnesses like depression and anxiety disorders as these taboo subjects that no one's allowed to talk to, perhaps we can get more people help. So I want to talk to you guys about this and kind of explain the thought process behind it for two big reasons. One, I want people who have never dealt with suicide, who have never had to experience it, I hope that through my own telling of this, you'll be able to get a little bit better insight into what's going on in someone's mind when they are suicidal. And the other thing is, I hope through me sharing my story, if you are struggling with suicidal thoughts, I hope that my story will help to show you that you're not alone, and perhaps give you an avenue in which to find a way out. So yeah, so give you a little bit of backstory. You guys know I have my official diagnosis is depression with anxiety. I was diagnosed back just after my first year in college. I spent almost a year on medication, closer to like, I don't know, probably 9 months-ish. And the medication didn't help. My depression was still very, very bad, and it gave me all these lovely side effects, everything from an inability to think clearly, it gave me double vision, permanent flu-like symptoms. It wasn't fun. And so I made the decision that I was no longer going to be medicated, which for me personally was the right decision. And I'd like to kind of preface this with the fact that I made the decision myself, but I was at that particular point in my life, I was seeing a counselor, and I had my doctor that I was seeing regularly about it. So they factored in on the decision as well, and they agreed with me that it was the right decision. I'm not trying to tell you that going off your medication is a good thing. For the large majority of people, medication helps and makes it manageable. I myself, my body doesn't tolerate it. But if you think you might be in a similar boat to me, talk to your doctor. If you're seeing a counselor or a therapist, talk to them as well and let them help you make that decision. Because I am quite literally the exception to the rule. So anyway, so quite a few years later, I had had a lot of really bad things kind of all happening at once. Um, One of my friends had gotten into a situation that I believed was very dangerous for them, and was going to cause them to get seriously hurt, if not killed. Um, and I reacted very poorly to that. And then the rest of my group of friends, uh, and I don't blame them for this at all, but they distanced themselves from me because of the situation. And I'm not going to go into details because it doesn't matter. But my group of friends at that point kind of ended our friendship temporarily. And I was very much alone, cut off from just about everything. And because of that, my depression was really, really bad. Now, I've talked about depression before, and I've tried to explain it in ways that people can understand. And I've mentioned before, it's not that you feel bad or that you feel sad or anything like that. It's this overwhelming feeling of hopelessness. Um, so it's the way that I've always envisioned it, and you can see on like commercials for like antidepressants and that you'll see one where it's like, oh well, it's like this coat that hangs over you that makes everything heavier, or oh, it's like always having this little rain cloud and nobody else has a rain cloud. And sure, those are very, very juvenile descriptions of a very serious problem. To me, this is how I viewed my depression for a very long time. To me, my depression was like waking up every morning and there was a large person that would wake up with me and would follow me everywhere I go. And so as soon as I would wake up, they would wake up too. And the first thing they would do is they'd get up and they'd punch me in the stomach as hard as they could. And then I'd double over in pain, and I'd kind of rest there until the pain lessened enough that I could try and get up. And as soon as I did, they'd turn around and they'd punch me again. And that's how my day would go, is every time I try and do something, I'd try to get up, they'd hit me. Sometimes it wasn't a punch to the gut. Sometimes they'd slap me across the face, or they'd break my nose, or they'd take like a big like 2x4 and smash it across my back. And this was a constant thing where I was always in pain. And that's what depression was to me. And there were some days where it didn't really affect me. You know, the guy would wake up and he'd roll over and he'd punch me in the stomach, and I'd tense my muscles. I wouldn't even feel it. And he could sit there punching me all day. I wouldn't feel a darn thing, and I could go throughout my day perfectly fine. And then there were other days where the pain would be so unbearable that I would just curl up into a ball as this creature is just punching and kicking and hitting me over and over and over again. And the only thing I could do is curl into my little ball and hope and pray for the pain to stop. And on this particular night, I'd gotten to that point. Now, there was a lot of different things I'd learned to try and get through it. Again, I'd try and curl myself into a ball and just endure it until it was over, and that wasn't working this time. The pain was just too much. One of the other things was if I had friends, if I could talk to somebody about it, or if I could spend some time with somebody else, sometimes it felt kind of like I was getting padding put on, like sparring gear. I'm a martial artist. It's kind of how I think. Um, and so at that point, even though my friends weren't actually, stepping in between me and this monster that kept hurting me, that's what it felt like to me, was that they had just, they'd come in and they were taking some of the punches for me. And it would lessen it to the point where I could get up and go on through my day. That couldn't happen. In my mind, it had gotten to the point where there's nothing I could do. There's nothing I could put in between myself and this monster to stop him from hurting me. He was too big. He was stronger than I was. He was faster than I was. He was bigger than I was. So there was no way I could physically stop him. He was just too big. And there's nothing I could do. In my mind, I was in this wide open space. There was nothing to hide behind. There was nothing to get in between myself and this monster, and there's nothing I could do to stop him from hurting me. And so I just curled into a ball and kept feeling every single impact, and each impact was worse than the last. And every time he'd hit me, I would feel not only that, but every other hit he'd done for the past day. And it was getting worse and worse. And it got to the point where the only thing I could think of was, this has to stop. I can't deal with this anymore. I can't deal with the pain. I can't deal with the agony. It hurts too much. Something has got to stop. And I'm praying and I'm crying out and trying to figure out what it will take to make this monster stop hurting me. And that's the point where the equation just started to make sense. Well, if I can't stop him and I can't get something in between myself and him that will stop him for me, then I need to take myself out of the equation. That's the only other part of the equation I can change. And so it was at that point that I decided to take my own life. This knife is not the actual knife that I was going to kill myself with, but it's from the same set. The actual knife, I still have it. It's packed away in a box somewhere back there that I'm not going to look through, but it looks literally exactly like this. This is it exactly. It's just a standard steak knife. It's a very simple tool. Everybody has these in their house. They do. I actually still use mine because when I was living on my own, it was the only sharp knife I had that wasn't like a butcher's knife or something that had a very specific purpose. So anytime I needed to cut meat for like eating, I'd still use it, which is weird, but whatever. So what happened that night was I was sitting at my computer. I did that a lot. And I had this knife in front of me. And for the life of me, I actually can't remember how it got there. I ate a lot at my computer because I didn't have a lot of furniture, so the only real chair I had was the one that I kept in front of my computer desk. So if I had to take a guess, that's probably why the knife was there, as I probably, had it at a meal sometime and it was still there. Don't judge me. And so I remember just looking at it, and it was sitting right here. And I remember this vividly. I remember just staring at the knife, knowing exactly what I was going to do. I was going to go right there. Right there. It's going to be very simple. I knew exactly how the human body worked. I knew exactly what I needed to do to make sure that enough blood got out for me to die. And I remember just sitting there staring at it because I knew it wasn't time yet. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't excited. I wasn't happy. I wasn't sad. I wasn't anything. I just knew what had to be done. And I knew it wasn't time yet, but it was soon. And so I sat there staring at this knife, just sitting on my desk, not moving, not doing it, just sitting there, knowing what I needed to do. And I had my phone, I had my cell phone right over here, just sitting right on my desk there. And it's so vivid in my mind because it was a pivotal point in my life. Um, and so as I'm sitting there staring at the knife, already made the decision that I was going to end my life. Um, I was just waiting for it to be time. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to why. I just knew it wasn't time yet. And as it was getting closer, my phone rang. To this day, the only explanation I can come up with as to why at this random moment in time my father decided to call on me just to chit chat, just to see what was going on, is that God decided that it wasn't time for me to die, and he told my father to call me. And I remember picking up the phone. For the life of me, I can't remember what we talked about. I I don't even I don't even think we talked about me wanting to commit suicide. I really don't. I just remember picking up the phone and hearing my dad's voice, and he just going, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" And we just talked. Um, it wasn't a long conversation. It might have been somewhere between like 5 to 15 minutes. It wasn't very long. But it was at that point that the pain and the agony I was feeling from my depression, from this horrible monster that just kept hitting me, suddenly stopped. It felt like my dad had stepped in the way and stopped him. Like I was a little kid with a bully, and he'd just come in and scared him off. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, had it not happened, I would not be here. It wasn't a cry for help. I wasn't, you hear all the time, that suicide is a cry for help. No, it wasn't. This was a logical solution to a problem that I couldn't figure out another solution to. And I wasn't planning on living through it. I wasn't planning on leaving a note or anything like that. I just wanted it to stop. So my dad and I talked for a little while, and in my mind, he stopped it, and I got up and I brushed myself off, and I limped over to a chair and just sat down and kind of calmed down and cooled off and waited for my wounds to heal. And that was it. I've never been that close since, because after going through that experience, I went back over the series of events and I looked at the trigger points that got me there and took an active role in looking for those trigger points. And anytime I started seeing too many of them show up, I would stop whatever it was I was doing. It's the reason that I quit my job, because I was seeing the same things happening. I was starting to contemplate suicide, and so I stopped. And so I've been very lucky that I've been able to deal with it without drugs or anything. And I have an amazing, wonderful support group, including my family. I have friends, and they've helped me get through it. So yeah, that was the night that I decided to kill myself. And the thing that saved me wasn't one of those cliches of, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Nobody quoted Bible verses at me. Nobody told me to think about my family or anything like that. It was literally a 15-minute conversation about my day with my dad. That was it. And that's all it took, was just somebody taking a little bit of time out of their day just to see how I was. And I'm not saying that's the cure for depression or suicidal thoughts. I'm not. But it's not what you think. If you've never dealt with suicidal thoughts, you can't understand what it's like. You just can't. Because it is a uniquely strange moment when you make the decision that the only way to improve your life is to end it. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, I hope this gives you guys some insights into what it's like to get to the point where you start considering suicide. It's not because they're weak, it's not because they're selfish, it's because they've gotten to the point where they can't deal with it anymore. They are going to just implode from all the pain and agony that they're in on a daily basis. So they're taking the only way that they see out. And I also hope, if you're in that position, if you've gotten to the point where you can't see another way out, there is. I don't know what it is for you. It may not be the same thing that it was for me. It may be something completely different. It may be something as simple as just finding an outlet that lets you be creative. It may be something as simple as just having that one friend that calls you in the middle of the night just to see how you're doing. It may be just having that experience that you've waited for your entire life, whether that's going somewhere you've never been or completing something that you've worked on years for. It's different for every single person. But there is a way out. And if my story tells you anything, I hope it's that even in the deepest, darkest pit you can be in, there's somebody out there that's thinking about you, that's caring about you, that's willing to do whatever's necessary to save your life. And whether or not you agree with my personal belief structure, that's your own decision. And I'm not gonna bash anybody for their own belief structure, and I'm not gonna try and tell you that you need to believe the exact same thing I do. I'm just saying that I'm living proof that, in my mind, that somebody out there cares about me. So yes, that's going to be all for me. This isn't a random vlogging. This is my suicide story. If you guys have questions, I am an open book. Feel free to leave them in the comments. You can tweet me. I'm at Trainer Jody. You can send me messages through YouTube. If we follow each other, send me a direct message on Twitter. I'm happy to talk about this because, again, I think it's something that we need to discuss. We need to stop letting this be a taboo subject. If you're in the position that I was in and you need somebody to talk to, shoot me a message on Twitter. If I don't follow you yet, just type something real quick. You know, hey, saw your vid. Follow me on Twitter. A lot of times if you mention, hey, I saw your vid, I'll follow you back. Send me a direct message and we can talk. You can find me through Google+. I'm Trainer Jody on Google+. Send me messages through there. Send me a message through YouTube explaining what's going on, and I will do everything I can to help. If I can't be there for you, I will get you in contact with people who can. The final thing, in the description, I'm going to put the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. If nothing else, if you don't have a support group, these are amazing, wonderful people that volunteer their time to help you get through what will probably be one of the most influential moments in your life. So, If you can't get a hold of me, you can't get a hold of your family, your friends, your support group, give these people a call. They're wonderful. They're only there to help you out. All right? I promise the rest of the week will be a little bit more up than this, but I felt that this was an important topic. Again, any questions or comments, leave them in the comments. I hope this has been informative for you guys. All right? So that's all for me today. I will see you guys tomorrow for some streamy streams. All right? Bye-bye.